The stone was floating, not by magic, not by machines, by sound. A single tone, held perfectly, made objects weighing thousands of pounds rise into the air like feathers. She remembered doing this. She remembered the exact frequency, and when she hummed it in this life, the glass on her table vibrated. Close your eyes and listen, not with your ears, with something deeper. There's a hum beneath everything, beneath the noise of the modern world, beneath traffic and conversations and technology, a frequency that's always been there, ancient, powerful, forgotten. You can feel it in your bones when you stand near certain places. Stone, circles, pyramids, sacred sites. The ancients knew this frequency. They built with it, healed with it, created with it, and somewhere in your cellular memory, you know it too. You've always known it. You just forgot how to listen. Until now. Until this moment when the memory starts to surface and you remember standing in a temple, hands raised, voice creating what seemed impossible. Her name is Maria. She's 45, lives in New Mexico, works as a sound engineer. Ironic, she thinks, given what she's been experiencing. For the past 3 years, she's been hearing things. Not voices, not hallucinations, frequencies, tones, patterns of sound that shouldn't exist but do. It started when she visited Chichen Itza. She was standing at the base of the pyramid, and the tour guide clapped his hands. The echo that came back sounded like a bird, a quetzal. The guide explained it was an acoustic property of the pyramid's design. The ancient Mayans built it deliberately to create this sound, but Maria heard more than the bird. She heard other frequencies, harmonics layering beneath the obvious sound, and she felt something wake up inside her. A knowing, a recognition, like her body remembered something her mind had forgotten. Since then, the frequencies haven't stopped. She hears them in certain buildings, near certain stones, in specific locations. And worst of all, she started to understand them, started to know, without knowing how she knows, what each frequency does. This one affects water. That one affects stone. This one affects the human body. That one affects consciousness itself. Her colleagues think she's losing it. Her husband is worried. She's worried too, because the knowing is getting stronger. The memories, if that's what they are getting clearer. And they all point to one thing, one time, one life. Egypt, ancient Egypt, before the pharaohs, before the pyramids, or maybe during their construction. She's not sure, but she was there, and she knew things about sound, about frequency, about technologies that modern science insists are impossible. That's why she's here, lying in a regression practitioner's office. Eyes closed, breathing deep, ready to find out if she's crazy or if the memories are real. The transition happens quickly. One moment she's aware of the chair beneath her. The next, she's standing on hot sand. The sun is intense, brutal, but she's used to it. This is her world. She looks down. Her skin is darker than it is now. Her body younger, stronger. She's wearing white linen, simple but clean. Around her neck, a pendant. She touches it and feels the metal warm against her skin. It's copper, shaped in a spiral, not decorative, functional. It helps her tune, helps her hear. She's standing outside a massive structure. Not a pyramid, not yet. This is before those, or maybe this is how those came to be. The structure is still being built. Huge stones, each one weighing more than a modern car, are arranged in precise patterns, and they're not being dragged by slaves or pulled by ropes. They're being moved by sound. Maria watches, and the memory floods back. She knows this. She did this. This is her work. Her name here is Atara. She's a sound keeper, one of the trained ones, one of the few who can hear the tones clearly enough to use them. It takes years of training, years of learning to listen, to match, to hold the frequency perfectly without wavering. A group of workers stands around a massive stone block, 10 feet long, 5 feet wide, thousands of pounds, impossible to move without modern machinery. But they're about to move it. With sound, Atara approaches. The workers step back, giving her space. She walks around the stone, feeling it, listening to it, because everything has a frequency. Everything vibrates. The stone, the air, the earth, the human body. All of it is vibration, at different rates. The trick is to find the stone as natural frequency and then create a harmonic that allows it to move, to become lighter, to release from the earth's pull. Atara places her hands on the stone. She can feel its frequency, low, deep, slow. She closes her eyes and begins to hum, not a random sound, a specific tone, matching the stone's frequency exactly. The other soundkeepers join her. 5 of them total, all humming the same tone. Their voices blend into one sound, one pure frequency, and the stone begins to vibrate. At first it's subtle, just a tremor, but as they hold the tone, adjusting slightly, finding the exact harmonic, the vibration increases, the stone starts to hum with them, resonating, and then, impossibly, it begins to rise, just slightly at first, lifting from the sand, then higher, 6 inches, a foot, 2 feet, floating in the air, as if weightless, as if gravity no longer applies. The workers quickly place smaller stones beneath it, creating a base, positioning it exactly where it needs to be. And then Atara changes the tone, lowers the frequency, and the massive stone settles gently into place. Perfect, exact. The workers cheer. But this is routine for Atara. She's done this hundreds of times. This is her gift, her purpose. This is what she was trained for since childhood. Maria, watching through Atara's eyes, feels the knowledge flowing back. This isn't fantasy. This isn't metaphor. This is memory. Real memory of real technology. Sound technology. Frequency technology. Knowledge that once existed but was lost. The scene shifts. Atara is now inside a temple. Not the structure being built. A different one. Older. This is the temple of sound, where the knowledge is kept, where the training happens, where the frequencies are recorded, but not in books, not in writing. The knowledge is stored in stone, in crystal, in water. Because these materials hold frequency, they remember sound. They can be programmed, in a sense, to contain information. Atara approaches a large crystal, clear quartz, the size of a human head. It sits on a pedestal in the center of the room. Around it, geometric patterns are carved into the floor, not random. Each line, each angle, serves a purpose, channeling sound, amplifying frequency, creating resonance. The patterns are mathematical, sacred geometry. People in the future will call it. But to Atara and her people, it's just science. The science of vibration, the understanding that certain shapes amplify certain frequencies, that angles and curves can direct sound waves, just as mirrors direct light. The floor patterns create nodes, points where the sound concentrates, points where the frequency becomes powerful enough to affect matter, to influence energy, to transform reality itself. An older woman enters. This is Nephis, the high soundkeeper, Atara's teacher, her mentor for the past 20 years. You're ready, Nephis says. Not a question. A statement. Atara nods. She knows what this means. Today she will learn the deepest frequencies, the ones that don't just move stone, the ones that affect consciousness itself, the ones that can heal or harm, create or destroy. The responsibility is great, Nephis continues. This knowledge, in the wrong hands, could cause terrible damage. That's why we guard it carefully. Why we only teach those who have proven themselves. Those who understand that power without wisdom is destruction. Atara understands. She's seen what happens when people misuse frequency. She's seen healers who used sound to manipulate instead of heal. She's seen builders who used it for ego instead of service. The technology is neutral, but the intention behind it matters more than anything. Nephis begins to teach. She explains that every organ in the body has a frequency. Every emotion has a frequency. Every thought creates vibration. And by using sound, by applying specific frequencies, you can affect all of it. Heal disease, shift emotion, even alter consciousness. She explains the layers of understanding. The physical frequencies that affect matter. The emotional frequencies that affect feeling. The mental frequencies that affect thought. And the spiritual frequencies that affect consciousness itself. That can open doorways to other dimensions, other realities, other states of being. The body is an instrument, Nephis teaches. Every cell vibrates. Every organ plays its note. When all the notes are in harmony, we call it health. When they fall out of tune, we call it disease. Our work is to restore the harmony, to bring the body back into its natural song. Watch, Nephis says. She begins to tone. A high, clear note. It fills the temple, bounces off the walls, and Atara feels it in her body, in her chest, her heart. The frequency is matching her heart's rhythm, and as Nephis sustains the tone, Atara's heartbeat begins to slow, to sink, to match the frequency. It's not uncomfortable. It's calming, peaceful. Her breathing deepens, her mind quiets. In moments, she's in a state of deep meditation, just from sound, just from frequency. Nephi stops, the tone fades, Atara returns to normal awareness. That was the heart frequency. Nephi explains, you can use it to calm someone in distress, to help them heal, to bring them back to balance. She teaches Atara other frequencies, the one for the liver, the kidneys, the brain. Each organ has its tone, each responds to specific sounds. This is the foundation of their healing work. This is how they cure disease without medicine, without surgery, just sound, just frequency, just vibration, returning the body to its natural harmony. Nephi shows her how to diagnose with sound as well. By toning near a person's body and listening to how the sound reflects back, a trained keeper can hear where the disharmony is, where the illness lives, which organs are out of tune. It's like echolocation, but for health, for wellness, for the invisible architecture of the human energy system. But there are other frequencies too, darker ones. Nephi teaches these not for use, but for protection, for understanding. There are tones that can disrupt the body, that can cause pain, that can even kill. Atara learns them with a heavy heart, because she understands that to protect against something, you must first understand it. Some of the other temples, Nephi says quietly, they've forgotten this. They've become so focused on the positive frequencies that they've left themselves vulnerable. They don't understand that sound can be used as a weapon, and those who do understand have power over them. Atara sees the concern in her teacher's eyes. Is that happening? Is someone using the frequencies wrongly? Nephi is silent for a moment, then nods. There's a faction. Priests from the northern temples. They've learned the destructive frequencies, and they're using them to consolidate power, to control, to destroy those who oppose them. This is the first time Atara has heard this, the first time she's understood that her knowledge, her gift, exists within a larger context, one that includes politics, power struggles, human corruption. What can we do? Atara asks. We preserve the knowledge, Nephi replies. We encode it. We hide it. We ensure that when this age ends, and it will end, the information survives, so that future generations can rediscover it, can learn from our mistakes, can use the technology with more wisdom than we did. Over the following months, Nephi teaches Atara the art of encoding, how to store information in crystal, how to program stone with frequency, how to create acoustic chambers that will broadcast knowledge for thousands of years, waiting for ears that can hear them. They work with different types of crystals: clear quartz for pure information, amethyst for spiritual frequencies, rose quartz for healing tones. Each crystal type has an affinity for certain kinds of knowledge. Each one stores and broadcasts differently. Atara learns to place her hands on a crystal and tone into it. The frequency carries information, not words, not language, but pure knowing, direct transmission. When someone else touches that crystal thousands of years later, if they're sensitive enough, they'll receive the information. They'll know what was encoded. They'll remember what was forgotten. The scene shifts again. Years have passed. Atara is older now, more experienced. She's seen the corruption Nephi's warned about. She's seen sound technology used for control, for manipulation, for war. The northern priests have developed weapons, devices that amplify destructive frequencies. They can aim them at enemies, at buildings, at whole cities. The sound waves, invisible and unstoppable, can shatter stone, can rupture organs, can drive people mad. The devices are made of metal, shaped like horns or trumpets, but they're not simple instruments. They're precision tools designed using the sacred geometry, designed to focus and amplify specific frequencies to devastating effect. A trained operator can point one at a wall and watch it crumble, point it at a person and watch them collapse. Atara has seen the aftermath. Cities reduced to rubble, people bleeding from their ears, their eyes, their noses, all from sound, all from the same technology she uses to heal and build. She's been called to those places, to try to heal the survivors, to undo the damage. But some things can't be undone. Some frequencies, once they've torn through a body, leave damage that's permanent. That's when Atara truly understands the weight of what they've created, the double-edged nature of all-powerful technology. And she understands now why Nephi was so serious about guarding the knowledge, why the training was so rigorous, why they were so selective about who learned the deep frequencies. Because humans are not wise enough for this power. Not yet. Maybe not ever. She's in the Temple of Sound. But it's different now. They're preparing, hiding. The northern priests are coming. Their army is approaching. And they have the sound weapons. The temple will be destroyed. Everyone inside will be killed. Unless they can protect themselves. But Nefis refuses to use sound as a weapon. Refuses to fight frequency with frequency. She says it will only perpetuate the cycle. Only prove that the knowledge is too dangerous. That humanity isn't ready. We have a different role. Nefis tells the gathered soundkeepers. We are preservers, not warriors. Our job is to ensure this knowledge survives. Not to use it for destruction. Even in some of the younger keepers argue, they want to fight, to protect the temple, to show the northern priests that they can't win. But Nefis is firm. Violence met with violence only creates more violence. Let them destroy this building. Let them think they've won. But the real knowledge, the deep wisdom, will hide it so well that it survives until humanity is ready for it. Nefis is dying, old age. She has days left at most. But she's clear-minded, focused. She's been preparing for this moment for years. Help me to the encoding chamber, she tells Atara. They descend deep beneath the temple, downstairs carved into bedrock, into chambers that few have seen. This is where the knowledge is truly kept, not in the temple above, which is for training, but here, in the earth, in the stone, in the crystals that have been programmed with centuries of understanding. The chamber is filled with crystals, hundreds of them, all sizes, all types, quartz, amethyst, emerald. Each one holds specific information, specific frequencies, specific knowledge. Atara has been down here before, but never like this. Never with the understanding that this might be the last time, that soon, these crystals will be buried under rubble, hidden under sand, waiting in darkness for millennia, until someone rediscovers them. When the temple falls, Nefis says, these will survive. Buried under the rubble, hidden in the earth, waiting. Someday, perhaps thousands of years from now, someone will find them. Someone will rediscover the frequencies, and hopefully, they'll be wiser than we were. Atara helps Nefis to the largest crystal, the master crystal, the one that holds the fundamental frequencies, the ones that everything else is built upon. Nefis places her hands on it. She begins to tone, a complex pattern, multiple frequencies woven together. This is the encoding, the final information being stored, the warning, the lesson, the truth about what happened here. Atara listens, and she understands. Nefis is encoding the story of their civilization's rise and fall. How they discovered the sound technology, how they used it for good, how they used it for evil, how it destroyed them in the end. The encoding takes hours. Nefis pours everything into the crystal, every frequency she knows, every healing tone, every building technique, every diagnostic method, but also the warnings, the mistakes, the corruptions, the weapons, everything, the complete story, so that future generations won't just learn the technology, they'll learn the context, the responsibility, the danger. It's a warning to future generations, a message across time. Use this power carefully, use it wisely. Don't make our mistakes. When Nefis finishes, she's exhausted. Atara helps her to the floor. They sit together in the crystal chamber, teacher and student, one life ending, one life continuing, both knowing that everything they've worked for is about to be destroyed. You need to leave, Nefis says, tonight, before they arrive. Take what knowledge you can carry in your mind. Go to the southern lands. Find others who remember. Keep the understanding alive. I don't want to leave you, Atara says. I'm already leaving. Nefis smiles. My time is done. But yours isn't. You have work to do. Knowledge to preserve. And someday, perhaps in another life, you'll return. You'll remember. And you'll help humanity rediscover what was lost. Atara spends the rest of that day with Nefis. They talk about everything. About the years of training, about the beauty of the work, about the students they've taught, about the healing they've witnessed, about the joy of working with sound and frequency and vibration. And they talk about the future, about the hope that humanity will evolve, that the next time this knowledge emerges, people will be ready for it, that they'll use it with wisdom instead of ego, with love instead of fear. As night falls, Nefis takes her last breath, peaceful, ready, complete. And Atara sits with her body for a long time, honoring her teacher, her mentor, her guide, saying goodbye to the woman who taught her everything. That night, Atara flees. She travels south, away from the temples, away from the war, away from everything she's known. She carries nothing physical, no crystals, no tools, no written records, just the knowledge in her mind, the frequencies in her memory, the understanding in her bones. The journey is hard, long, dangerous. She travels through desert, through hostile territories, through lands where the old ways are already forgotten. But she keeps going, because she promised, because the knowledge must survive. She finds a small village, people who still remember the old ways. They're simple folk, farmers, fishermen, but they remember their grandparents talking about the sound keepers, about the temples, about the magic of frequency. Atara teaches them what she can, the simple frequencies, the healing tones, the knowledge that can help them without endangering them. She doesn't teach them how to move stones, how to build weapons, how to access the deeper powers. Those technologies are too dangerous, too easily corrupted. But she teaches them how to use sound for health, for harmony, for connection, and they learn eagerly. They pass the knowledge to their children, who pass it to their children, and slowly, quietly, the understanding spreads. Atara lives a long life there. She becomes a healer, a teacher, a wise woman that people come to from miles around. She helps them with sound, with frequency, with the tones that restore balance and bring peace. And every night, she looks at the stars and thinks about the temple, about Nephis, about the crystals buried under sand, waiting, broadcasting their frequencies into the earth, into the air, into the consciousness of the planet, waiting for the time when humanity is ready. She dies of old age, surrounded by students, surrounded by love, and with her last breath, she makes a promise to return, to remember, to help humanity find the frequencies again, when they're ready, when they're wise enough to use them properly. And then Maria sees it, the moment that connects everything. She's in the between space, between lives, between Atara and Maria, and she sees the soul choice, the decision to return to this time, this era, when humanity is just beginning to rediscover sound technology, when they're just starting to understand frequency and vibration and resonance. She sees a council, not the council of priests from the temple, but a council of souls, guides and teachers and other beings of light. They're showing her the timeline, showing her where humanity is in its evolution, and they're asking, who will go? Who will volunteer to be born in the time when the knowledge returns? And Maria, as a soul, raises her hand. I'll go. I'll be born in the time when they start to remember. I'll help. I'll teach. I'll translate the ancient wisdom into modern terms. I'll bridge the gap between the mystical past and the scientific future. But there's a condition. She'll forget, just like everyone forgets. She'll be born into a normal life. She'll have to find her way back to the knowledge. She'll have to wake up. She'll have to remember. And that process will be difficult, confusing, lonely at times. But when she does remember, when she does wake up, she'll be positioned perfectly. She'll have the scientific training to understand the technology. She'll have the spiritual sensitivity to honor the wisdom. She'll be the bridge, the translator, the one who can speak both languages. She agrees. She chooses this. She chooses to be born as Maria in the late 20th century, to grow up in the age of technology, to become a sound engineer, to be positioned exactly where she needs to be when the memories start to surface. She sees why she chose to be a sound engineer in this life, why she's drawn to acoustics, why she went to Chichen Itza, why she heard the frequencies. It's not random. It's not coincidence. It's remembering. It's the soul fulfilling its promise. She sees her purpose now. She's here to help, not to be the one who rediscovers everything, but to be one voice among many, one person remembering, one piece of the puzzle, because the knowledge isn't meant to be held by one person or one group. It's meant to be distributed, shared, available to all, so no one can control it, so no one can weaponize it, so humanity can benefit without repeating the mistakes of the past. And she sees something else. The crystals, the ones Nephis encoded, they're still there, buried under the sands of Egypt, waiting. Some have been found already, removed to museums, studied by scientists who don't understand what they're looking at, who see them as artifacts instead of technology, as decoration instead of data storage. But they're waking up. The crystals, the frequencies encoded in them, are starting to activate, broadcasting their information to anyone who can hear, anyone who's ready. anyone who remembers. That's what Maria heard at Chichen Itza, not just the pyramid's acoustic properties, but the ancient frequency, the encoded knowledge, calling to her, reminding her, waking her up. She sees the bigger picture now, sees that there are thousands of people like her, all over the world, all waking up, all remembering fragments of the ancient knowledge. Some remember Atlantis, some remember Lemuria, some remember Egypt, some remember other civilizations that history has forgotten, but they're all remembering the same essential truth. That sound is power. That frequency is technology. That vibration is the foundation of reality itself. And that humanity once knew this, once used it, once built entire civilizations on this understanding. And now, it's time to remember, not to go backward, not to recreate the past exactly, but to integrate the ancient wisdom with modern understanding, to use the technology with more maturity, more wisdom, more love than the ancients had. Maria understands now. She's not crazy. She's not imagining things. She's remembering. Her soul is remembering. And there are others, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all waking up, all remembering, all hearing the frequencies. The knowledge is returning, not to destroy this time, but to heal, to help, to elevate, because humanity is ready. Not everyone, not all at once, but enough. Enough to create the critical mass needed for transformation. Enough to use the technology wisely. Enough to avoid the mistakes of the past. Maria sees her role clearly now. She's a bridge between the past and the present, between the ancient knowledge and modern science, between the mystical and the practical. She's here to translate, to explain, to help people understand that sound isn't just entertainment or communication. It's technology, it's healing, it's power, and that power, used wisely, can change everything. She sees the future possibilities, sees hospitals using sound to heal instead of surgery, sees buildings constructed with acoustic levitation instead of cranes, sees people using frequency to maintain health instead of waiting until disease manifests, sees humanity learning to work with vibration the way they now work with electricity. It's all possible, it's all waiting. It just needs enough people to remember, enough people to believe, enough people to experiment and explore and rediscover what was lost. And Maria is one of those people, one of the bridge builders, one of the seeds being planted in the collective consciousness. Maria opens her eyes. The practitioner's office comes back into focus, but she feels different, expanded, like she's been compressed for years and finally has room to breathe. I remember, she whispers. I remember all of it. The temples, the frequencies, the technology, Nefis, everything. The practitioner nods, listening as Maria pours out the experience, the sound-based levitation, the healing frequencies, the encoding in crystals, the fall of the civilization, the promise to return. As she talks, Maria realizes that pieces of her current life make perfect sense now. Her inexplicable understanding of harmonics, her ability to hear frequencies others can't, her obsession with acoustic properties of ancient structures. It's all connected. It's all memory. It's all preparation for what she's meant to do now. Over the following weeks, Maria changes her approach to everything. She starts researching ancient acoustic technology from a different perspective, not as curiosity, as recognition. She visits sites, measures frequencies, documents acoustic properties, and everywhere she goes, she hears more, remembers more, understands more. She discovers that she's not alone. There are other researchers, other sound engineers, other healers, all independently coming to similar conclusions, all remembering fragments of the same ancient knowledge, all feeling called to this work. She connects with them, shares her experiences, learns from theirs, and together, they start piecing together the puzzle, recreating the knowledge, not from books or artifacts, from memory, from intuition, from the frequencies that never stopped broadcasting, that have been there all along, waiting for ears that could hear them. Maria starts working with sound healing, using specific frequencies to help people. She doesn't tell them about Etara or past lives or ancient Egypt. She just plays the tones, and people heal. Stress dissolves, pain lessens, emotions balance, bodies return to harmony, just like they did thousands of years ago. She's careful though. She remembers Nephis's warnings. She remembers what happened when the technology was misused. So, she's selective. She teaches only those who demonstrate wisdom, who understand the responsibility, who approach the knowledge with reverence and humility. One day, she's working with a client, playing a specific frequency for heart healing, and the client, eyes closed, suddenly speaks. I remember this. I remember being in a temple, learning these sounds, teaching them, but it was so long ago. How do I remember it? Maria smiles. Because you were there. We were there. Many of us were. And we're back now, remembering together, rebuilding what was lost. The client opens their eyes, tears streaming. I thought I was going crazy, hearing things, knowing things I shouldn't know. You're not crazy, Maria says. You're remembering. And you're not alone. This conversation happens again and again, with clients, with colleagues, with strangers who find her work online, people who've been having similar experiences, similar memories, similar awakenings. And Maria understands, this is how the knowledge returns, not through one person, not through one discovery, but through collective remembering, through thousands of souls who were there, who learned the frequencies, who promised to return, all waking up together, all sharing pieces of the puzzle, all contributing to the reconstruction of ancient wisdom. She starts teaching workshops, small groups, people who are ready, who can hear, who remember or want to remember. She teaches them the basic frequencies, the healing tones, the heart frequency, the grounding frequency, the activation frequency. And she watches them light up, watches recognition dawn in their eyes, watches them remember, some fully, seeing past lives and ancient temples, others just intuitively, knowing without knowing how they know, but all of them responding, all of them healing, all of them waking up. Her husband, who was skeptical at first, starts to understand. He sees the changes in her, the confidence, the clarity, the purpose. He sees the people she helps, the healings that happen, the transformations, and he becomes a believer, not in woo-woo mysticism, but in observable results, in measurable effects, in science that mainstream science hasn't caught up with yet. One night, Maria is in her home studio, experimenting with frequencies. She's trying to recreate one of the building tones, the ones used for levitation. She knows it's possible. She remembers doing it, but the exact frequency eludes her. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and asks, not out loud, but in her mind, asks Nephis, asks Atara, asks the part of herself that knows, what's the frequency? Help me remember. And it comes, clear as day, a specific tone. She generates it on her equipment, plays it through the speakers, and on the table in front of her, a small crystal begins to vibrate, then rise, just slightly, just a fraction of an inch, but it's there, it's real, it's working. Maria gasps, stops the tone, the crystal drops. She tries again. Same result, the crystal levitates. Small, subtle, but undeniable. She's done it. She's remembered. She's recreated a piece of the ancient technology. Not fully, not powerfully enough to move massive stones, but enough to prove it's possible, enough to show that the memories are real, that the knowledge can be recovered, that humanity can learn this again. She doesn't publish her findings, doesn't seek fame or recognition. She shares it privately, with her group, with the other rememberers, because she knows from experience that this knowledge needs to be handled carefully, protected, distributed wisely, not hoarded, not weaponized, not used for ego or profit or power, used for healing, for growth, for elevation, for helping humanity evolve. Months pass. Maria's work expands. She's traveling now, teaching, speaking, connecting people, building a network of sound healers and frequency workers and acoustic researchers, all remembering, all sharing, all contributing. She visits Egypt, stands at the base of the Great Pyramid, places her hands on the stone, and feels it. The frequency encoded in the stone itself, the same frequency she used to move stones in another life. It's still there, still broadcasting, still waiting for humanity to remember how to listen. She tones, matching the pyramid's frequency. And for a moment, just a moment, she's Atara again, young, strong, standing before the stones, voice raised, creating impossible things, serving her people, honoring the knowledge, living with purpose. And then she's Maria again, older, wiser, different time, different body, same soul, same purpose, same promise being fulfilled. She understands now that this is the pattern. Souls return, again and again, carrying knowledge, sharing wisdom, helping humanity evolve, not because they have to, because they choose to, because they love this world and these people enough to keep coming back, keep teaching, keep remembering, keep holding the frequencies until enough people can hear them. She's one of many, one thread in a vast tapestry, one note in a cosmic symphony, and her part matters. Not because it's big or famous or important by worldly standards, but because it's true, because it's aligned, because it's what her soul came here to do. And in doing it, in remembering and teaching and sharing and healing, she's fulfilling the promise made thousands of years ago, the promise to return, to help, to ensure that the knowledge doesn't die, that it comes back, that humanity gets another chance to use it wisely, this time, with more wisdom, more humility, more love. This time, maybe, they'll get it right. If you've ever felt drawn to sound or heard frequencies others could unto known things about ancient technologies, without knowing how, maybe you were there to maybe you remember the temples and the crystals and the tones that moved mountains, and maybe you're here now to help us remember what we forgot, to heal what was broken, to use the ancient knowledge with the wisdom we've earned through countless lifetimes of learning. Subscribe to continue the journey of remembering.